Rachel Dolezal woke up one day and was like, I want to be a You really? You want to be a
Hey everybody, this is Chenua from NYC coming to you with something a little bit different today. Usually I do TV and movie reviews and recaps, but I also like to talk about things that are going on today as well as history, so you know, a little bit of commentary as well. And I just want to touch on something that I'm sure everybody and their mom is talking about right now, and that is Jessica Krug, Professor Jessica Krug, who is a graduate of the Rachel Dolezal University. Now I'm sure you're like, girl, like what are you talking about? Well, stick around and we'll get into it. So Jessica Krug is an associate professor at the George Washington University, and her areas of expertise are listed as Africa, Latin America, African American history, the early modern world, and imperialism and colonialism. That very last section, keep that in mind, is very ironic. She earned her PhD in 2012 from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, but based on what we've learned here today and what you will learn here in this video, she clearly earned a degree from Rachel Dolezal University. Early on Thursday, September 3rd, 2020, Jessica released an article on Medium called The Truth and the Anti-Black Violence of My Lies, where she seemingly outs herself as a Jewish white woman who's originally from Kansas. Pretty much up until yesterday, it seems like Jessica had been cosplaying as a variety of different ethnicities and races. Unlike Rachel Dolezal, her professor, Jessica had a strong desire to switch it up. At least Rachel is still pretending to be Black American. She's sticking with that and she's not doing anything else. But no, Jessica, to her, race, ethnicity, cultures, they're like wigs. And you know, you don't just have one wig, you have a bunch because you always want to switch it up to fit your mood. So to date, based on what I've found, it seems like Jessica has claimed to be North African, she's claimed to be Black American, and more recently she claimed to be a Caribbean-rooted Bronx Blackness, or she claimed to have that. Pretty much as soon as this article came out and things started blowing up on Twitter, she tried to delete as much of her internet presence as possible, but she should know by now, when it comes to the internet, you cannot pull a fast one, especially not when Twitter is involved. I personally will never truly understand what the obsession is. If you have ever questioned why people are always so pressed when it comes to blackfishing, this is why. It is a spectrum, and blackfishing falls on one part of the spectrum, and what we're dealing with right now falls on the other end. If you do not call out blackfishing, and that little black scent you hear people do every once in a while, you know what I'm talking about. You know when people start talking like this, like, excuse me, what's up? When you hear people who never ever talk like that before start talking like this, like what's really good, that's what I'm talking about. If you do not call it out, this is what it becomes. It is so much more than just tinting your skin a little bit and putting on a black scent during a TikTok. There's people out here finessing systems and earning positions that they are not entitled to. This is my second time recording this because the first time I mentioned that her confession felt like it came out of nowhere, especially because she had just published a piece in late August, so I'm like, no, this is kind of weird, it's coming out of nowhere. However, as the story unraveled throughout the day, I learned that it's probably the case that she was pressured into speaking out because she caught on that somebody was going to put her on blast anyway. When you watch her speak, when she's using her Latina identity, it is so cringy. It is racist, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's nothing around it. It's actually really gross to listen to and to watch.
Hey, I'm Jessa Bombalera. I'm here in El Barrio, East Harlem. You probably know this neighborhood because the Hosanna Melissa Mark Viverito, who used to be the speaker of your city council, sold my fucking neighborhood to developers and gentrifiers. So I got a couple of things to say. And when y'all come on and tell me my time stops, fuck out of here. I also want to call out all these white New Yorkers who waited 4 hours with us to be able to speak and that did not yield their time to Black and brown indigenous New Yorkers. So a couple of things. You was talking about, Chair, you was talking about moving against the gang database. What's up with that? And all these neighborhood council meetings trying to fight gentrification, ain't nothing changed. You know, y'all heard from a few people who were there, and thank you, much power to all my siblings who were standing up, my Black and brown siblings who were standing. And guess what happens when we get in there? Even, you know, some of the white girls who do get arrested, in and out like nothing. Guess who's staying? Guess who's standing outside in the rain for hours, zip tied, no water, no access to anything. So y'all want to act brand new, y'all want to act shocked, we can reform, we can do this, vote people in, vote people out. Bro, it's been that. The last time there was a curfew in New York City, it was because Black people in Harlem were standing up for one of our own being killed by the NYPD. And I do not want my great-grandchildren out here having to protest this same shit. So you know what it is.
I just want to know how she came up with this personality. Is this what it means to you to be Latina, to be Black? Because you've clearly been playing a caricature your whole career. Probably even longer than that. I was a sociology major. Yes, I have a degree in sociology and I'm proud, so don't come for me. But one of my favorite words, one of my favorite things about sociology are ethnographies. I love just sitting around and observing people and just learning about people's interactions. So as a sociologist, I'm thinking about this and I'm like, is that what she did to like figure out how to take on these identities? In that sense, it's not cool in a sense of like just learning more about people. It's like predatory. It's like you are sitting around in these neighborhoods observing, not taking notes for the sake of just talking about how we interact as people, but for your own personal use. Like, how can I speak? How should I walk? How should I respond to people? What should I look like when I do it? What should I wear? It's weird. It's gross. This all is incredibly harmful. Me personally, when I was getting my little sociology degree, I was a first-gen college student and I went to a PWI. You already know, you go to a PWI, depending on, you know, whether you're a person of color or not, where you go, very often you be the only one like looking like you in your class. Unfortunately, it's even worse among the faculty. You're looking for people who look like you among your teachers, among your administrators. And I can only imagine a black or brown student at George Washington landing in her class first semester, already feeling like they got that imposter syndrome going on, and then you see somebody who maybe talks like you, who maybe talks like your friends from back home, like your cousins, your aunts, and you're feeling something there. You feel like you can trust her. You feel like she can understand you, and you might even admire her. I had a teacher, it took me a minute, but I finally had a black teacher in college, and I was like, she's dope, she's fly. I remember seeing her wear some sneakers one day, and I went and looked. I really did this. I really went and looked for those sneakers. I didn't find the exact same ones, but I bought like another version of them just because she was so freaking cool to me, and I got an A in that class. But anyway, that's real. It's not easy to make that kind of transition for everybody. Not everybody who's a person of color has the same experience. We're not a monolith, but for those of us who are not cut from the same cloth as our peers and as other students in our schools, that kind of connection is so freaking important. I didn't go to my PWI with connections, so be able to make connections in school and then use that to create a network beyond is important. So I feel really, really bad for these students, her former students, I don't know if she was teaching right now, but if they feel like they've been betrayed by her, they have. They really have. I'm looking at her pictures, I'm looking at her videos, and she was putting on a show, and it must have been exhausting. For my Bronx people, you know, if you're from New York, it's giving me 3rd Avenue and 49th. For my Manhattan people, it's giving me a variety of areas, but it's giving me 2nd Avenue and 120th by Taino Towers, if you know what I'm talking about. And if you from Brooklyn, it's giving me Myrtle Avenue and Bushwick. And if you from Queens, Queens confuses me, so I'm really sorry, but let's say she's giving Jamaica Ave. I don't know. Let's say she's giving Farmers Boulevard. Like, I really don't know much about Queens. I wish I could find another word beyond cringy and gross, but that's just what it is. I hear people like this all the time walking down the street. This is who they are. Can you imagine somebody just pretending to speak like you, dress like you? And after a while, you're like, do you like me or do you hate me? Like, it just feels like you're making fun of me. It's not funny. And it's worse because she's not a comedian. This is serious. Through her work and her publications, she's claimed to be down, but regardless of her intentions, the exact moment, I don't know when it was, but the moment that she decided to be a shapeshifter and move through this world as an Afro-Latina, North African, Bronx, whatever she wanted to be, she messed up. Any good intentions she had that followed that initial decision are void. I don't care, well, if she did feed like 100 people in the Bronx, that is a nice thing, but I don't think she did, so it doesn't matter. There's so much more bad done here. Think about all the opportunities that were taken from Black and Latinx women who you claim to support, because to be quite honest, you sitting here teaching African diaspora history, but you're not even African, you're not even Black. So George Washington University, baby girl, what are we doing? Why did you even hire her in the first place? Even if she was who she says she was, that's weird, but that's a situation for another day. We're not gonna get into that. She's a Jewish woman. What is wrong with being Jewish? Jewish people have overcome so much in their long history in this world. What's wrong with being a proud Jewish woman who's down for the cause? We can use plenty of allies. This is not allyship. This is not necessary, needed. We didn't ask for this. An apology from her right now is not enough, especially because I don't think she was actually gonna address this based on tweets that we've seen. I think that she wasn't intending on having to address this at any time. I know we're in a recession low-key right now, but I'm gonna need her to resign, because if she wants to dismantle white supremacy, she should understand. How many more stories like this are out there? Once we had Rachel a couple years ago, I thought we was in the clear, but clearly we not. It's still foggy, so y'all better come out the woodwork while we at it. It's okay, we're not gonna jump you. Come outside, it's cool. This is just shocking. This is just, I mean, is it though? We've seen it before. Like I said, it's a spectrum. We've seen different versions of it. This is just the grossest version. Y'all, we tired. I'm tired. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. So make sure you subscribe, you share, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you soon.
You got it.